Joe Biden cannot stop himself from talking about how reasonable he thinks the Republican Party is and how he thinks simply electing Trump out of office will somehow lead to a fantasy world of bipartisanship. The latest example was during a speech in front of lobbyists and donors in Washington. He said the following: with Trump gone, you're going to begin to see things change because these people in Congress know better. They know this isn't what they're supposed to be doing, meaning tucking tail and doing everything that Donald Trump wants to do, right? He also says the thing that will fundamentally change things is with Donald Trump out of the White House. Not a joke, it's already beginning. In the House now, you've seen people that in fact were not willing to vote for any Democratic initiative, even if they agreed with it, because they didn't want to be the odd person out if it wasn't going to happen. I got news for you, Joe Biden. You were in the Obama presidency, you were in that administration. They were never willing to play ball with you. They're never willing to play ball. It's not the 1990s. What are we doing?
So he keeps saying it over and over again. The second quote was from May. The first quote is from right now. And so he learns nothing. And he got criticized the first time around, didn't matter. And people keep, in mainstream media, keep calling it a stumble. These are not stumbles, whether it's the Hyde Amendment position that he had or this. It's who Joe Biden is. In fact, if anything has defined his career, put aside being conservative or progressive or moderate or any of those labels, is that Joe Biden is super proud of reaching out across the aisle and doing bipartisanship. And he would brag about it back in the days. And look, there's a whole spectrum throughout all these years. So for a while in the 1980s and 90s, there was some degree of bipartisanship that did get you some okay results. Those are hard to find, but there are some examples of it. And so it's not all bad at all times. But Biden would also talk about how proud he was to work even earlier with people like Strom Thurmond, who was who ran for president under the segregationist ticket, wanted to separate out white people and black people. Now, and Strom Thurmond was not very reformed. Let's put it that way. He was an extreme right winger. Just recently, Emma Vigeland, our own Emma Vigeland at TYT Politics and now Rebel headquarters, unveiled a video. She found a video, and then this spread like wildfire throughout the rest of the media. Oh, Joe Biden talking about how great Dick Cheney was and how he built up the powers of the vice presidency, which then Biden used. And so you had terrible times of working with the Republicans, okay times of working with the Republicans, and now we're back to absolutely horrible times where the Republicans are never ever going to work with you unless you do it all on their terms. And so it just fundamentally misunderstands politics to think that Joe Biden can just whisper in their ear and hold them really tight, and then Mitch McConnell will be like, all right, why don't we help the American people? If that's what you think, you don't understand politics at all, and it's a core meltdown. And you should look. I'm not going to vote for anybody who thinks, oh my God, Mitch McConnell and I are going to work wonders together, and he's going to come towards me. He's not. That means you're going to go towards him.
So I can just quickly mention one bipartisan effort that happened in the 1990s. Wasn't it welfare reform, where essentially Bill Clinton conceded to Republicans quite a bit when it came to the issue or topic of welfare reform?
No, that's true. And so, look, I think that one was a little bit more of a mixed bag, but to be fair to them, and a lot of progressives think it's not a mixed bag at all, that it was terrible. Yes. I have a slightly different take on that. Sam Cedar and I once debated that. It's an interesting topic, but they did, for example, get rid of the deficit. So, and some of the ways they did that was not great either, but Bill Clinton worked with Republicans and they got a surplus, which no Republican president has ever done. Certainly in modern times. So that's why I say, look, to be fair, there was some mixed record in the 90s of doing some positive things together, but they also did terrible things, deregulating media, deregulating Wall Street, the 1994 crime bill, which Joe Biden brags about being the author of.
Yeah, and look, the reason why I bring that up is because whenever you hear about bipartisanship or when there were bipartisan efforts, it was usually Democrats giving Republicans what they want. So if that's the kind of bipartisanship we're talking about, I'm not interested. But one other thing I wanted to mention is the narrative that we keep hearing is that Biden is gonna do well because of his electability. But remember, he is now in this position, he is putting himself in this position where he's playing patty cakes, as Cenk would say, with Republicans. And in the meantime, Republicans are essentially punching him in the face. Now look, I know that these aren't members of Congress, but Fox News represents the right wing. It just does. And they're already starting with conspiracy theories about Biden's health. I'll give you one example. Here is a clip from The Five on Fox, again, speculating about his health.
Doesn't it raise questions and spark curiosity about what's wrong with him? Could there something be secret?
Are you gonna do that?
Yes. Could there secretly be something wrong with him?
I'm gonna pass.
I'll take that one.
Okay, so he didn't show up to the California Democratic Convention, and so they're speculating about why he didn't show up. And if you think that was the end of the conversation, trying to imply that he has some sort of illness, no, it was brought up again by Kennedy.
If you talk to Democrats who are working for different campaigns, all of the aggressive gossip whispers, and this is where the action is happening right now in terms of opposition research. It's people having a few drinks at a bar and whispering, well, there's something wrong with the former vice president. Psst, 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 psst. And that's what they're actively doing right now. And I've talked to a couple of these people, and it is a little bit surprising because they're more concerned with taking Biden down now and getting their candidate out there.
But what are they whispering about Biden? What is wrong with him? Come on, share.
Do you want me to say what I have heard?
No, don't do it.
Okay, so there's another example. Hannity did the same. He said Joe Biden's tired. He does not have the energy for this. They're already hiding him like they hid Hillary. They don't want him out there.
So look, this is a very classic Republican trick and right-wing trick. They take a kernel of truth and then they twist it and then attach a gigantic lie to it. So is it true that Joe Biden is hiding? Yes. Is it true it's because he has some sort of physical ailment? No, there is no evidence of that at all, totally made up, okay? So why is he hiding? Well, because he has the lead and they think, well, our candidate is kind of a knucklehead. Every time he goes out there, he says something that gets him in trouble, like the topic we're talking about today, where he goes and wants to hug Dick Cheney and Strom Thurmond and Mitch McConnell and tell you how much they're gonna work together to do Republican priorities, and that doesn't help him win in a Democratic primary. So there is a reason why his staff is hiding him. He didn't go not only to the California Democratic State Convention, which was attended by most of the presidential candidates, but now over the weekend in Cedar Rapids, the Hall of Fame dinner, 19 out of the 24 candidates were there, and all the top candidates except Biden weren't there because they don't want Biden out there because he's going to accidentally reveal that he's not right for this primary and this electorate on the Democratic side because he's old school, not based on his age, but based on his ideas.
Right, I mean.
So for example, sorry, Anna, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are also a little bit older, but their ideas are new and fresh and interesting. And they're having a battle with Andrew Yang on who can propose the most interesting different policy ideas, whereas Biden wants to go back to the future. That's why they're hiding him, not because of a made up conspiracy that Fox News has about his health. They do this every single time and it's always made up. They said that Hillary Clinton was gonna have an aneurysm, etc. Where's the aneurysm all these years later? It was a lie.
Right.
When are you ever gonna learn that Fox News lies over and over again for propaganda reasons?
And again, I bring this all up because while you're trying to have a tea party with the right wing, here's what the right wing is doing, right? And I just want to respond to the conversation that the Five had with this clip.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings of that investigation. You look at the origin of the investigation. The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges, how it started.
Look, I have a lot of issues with Biden when it comes to policy, with the way that he's approaching this election, with the way he approaches Republicans. But if you're gonna argue that Biden has some sort of health issue, you need to take a good hard look at our president.
I'll give Fox News only this tiny bit of credit, which I am reluctant to do. But the graphic hiding Biden was kind of fun. But outside of that, look at Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? And by the way, it's not a coincidence. The reason that they attacked Hillary Clinton's mental health and Joe Biden's mental health is because they know that their own candidate has significant mental health problems. And in fact, the oranges of that mental health issue, I don't know if it's related to his age or not. They're like, oh, Biden is in his 70s. Guess who else is in his 70s? Donald Trump. So the projection that they do is stunning, and they do it on purpose to deflect attention from the real significant problems that Donald Trump has. I mean, as we've gone over a million times, no mentally stable person goes out in public and screams, "I am a very stable genius." So no amount of work can cover that up. And Joe Biden, for God's sake, understand the current dynamic in politics today. The Republicans must be defeated. They cannot be negotiated with. And if you don't understand that, you can't be our candidate, because not only will you get nothing done for 4 years, I mean, that is a guarantee that you will get absolutely blocked by the Republicans on every policy you might want to propose, although I don't know what those are because you haven't stated any of them. But also, you're not even gonna win the race because you're gonna try to like hug Donald Trump and he's gonna elbow you in the face and take you apart. You gotta know what you're dealing with, and obviously he doesn't. The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.